Welcome back to another episode of Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I am the NFL genius, Gene Walsek. In the upper left corner, we got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cuttrell.
Gentlemen, we got a low-key jam-packed show today. Kind of excited. I say it every week, but low-key excited.
I'm high-key excited. High-note excited. In the upper right corner, listen, it's probably more than the flu at this point. He's sick every week. I don't know what to tell you. It's probably something bad, and we don't know about it. But in the upper right corner, Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally, Stick as Hell Shally, Mr. William Shallcroft.
Still here, though. I don't miss shows.
Can you
Man
sing the song? I'm still standing.
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
I wouldn't sing that if I wasn't sick.
Why?
Some people are singers, Gene. Some are not.
I heard you were a great singer. That's not what I heard. Well, we got an action-packed show. I don't want to push the tush into action this week, but we got some NFL rule changes, and the tush push is up for discussion. Green Bay Packers, Atlanta Falcons, Buffalo Bills spoke about it at the owners or at the GM meetings, the owners meetings. They want to ban the tush push. They want to ban the brotherly shove. Is it sour grapes because they can't do it as good as Philadelphia, or do they have a valid point? I know what me and Shally's answer is going to be. I don't need to argue that, right?
Nope.
I would love to hear where Cottrell's at when it comes to the brotherly shove, push action.
So I mean, for
Cottrell's not a baby. He's gonna like it.
So for me, I look at it kind of twofold. So the NFL tells me all the time about how player safety is a huge emphasis, and you know how much they care about player safety and all this nonsense. Matter of fact, even this year, not even related to player safety, but they put a huge emphasis on where tackles were lining up. You know, if a tackle was too far in the backfield to get in their stance, they put an emphasis on it, and they started flagging it a lot more. And to me, it seemed very picky. It wasn't harming the game. And with that said, I don't think the tush push is harming the game. However, with that said, I do not think the tush push it's at its core. There's so many parts of it that doesn't make sense to me. You talk about like these offensive linemen splits all the time and formations and things like that. I don't understand how the tush push is technically a legal formation when essentially you have everybody on the line of scrimmage and everybody in the backfield. I get it. The Eagles line up perfectly in it and it's perfectly fine. Other teams do it, all that. I personally want to get back to football. Like we were having a discussion in the NFC Championship game about the refs giving the Eagles a touchdown because the Washington Commanders kept trying to jump the snap and get to Hurts before the play got off. We even came on this show talking about how Luvu was a dirty player for smacking Jalen Hurts in the helmet in the process of doing so. So if we want to get rid of all of that and not have to worry about it, I think the Eagles are going to, regardless, be the best QB sneaking team in the league because they have a great offensive line. They have a quarterback that can squat 1,000 pounds. And ultimately, they're going to get pushed no matter how the rules are set up there. So I don't think it's a sour grapes thing because it's the Eagles. I think they're going to be successful with however they ultimately decide to run Jalen Hurts. But as a whole, I personally am tired of seeing the tush push, not just with the Eagles across the league. Get me back to regular QB sneaks, and let's go from there.
See, the issue I have with what you just said is this, right? When Tom Brady used to successfully quarterback sneak all the time, he was one of the best in the whole league, right? The quarterback sneak has been in the league for years.
Mm-hmm.
The Philadelphia Eagles just figure out a way to make the quarterback sneak more efficient. It's not illegal. It is true. It's
the Eagles weren't the first one to use it, though.
Nick
Sirianni Nick Sirianni used it in Indianapolis with
Jacoby
Brissett.
Brissett. I follow. Listen, I follow. But the Eagles have perfected that play with an offensive line that is bullisome, a big tight end and a big wide receiver, and Goddard and A.J. Brown pushing from the back. You have a guy that squats 500-some pounds in Jalen Hurts. The Philadelphia Eagles figured out a way to make it the most successful play in the arsenal. This is not a play to stop Buffalo from running the tush push, because you've seen exactly what happened when they tried to run it in versus Kansas City. They failed 3 times. This is not a play to try to stop the Ravens from using Mark Andrews in that same spot. Like any other team can use a tight end or a big player to kind of go in and push him behind. The question remains is, it's only an issue because Philadelphia is so good at it. What's up, Brittany? How are you? Brittany is someone we'll be talking to Friday morning. Respond to your message right now. Friday morning is good. But listen, that's exactly what this is, though. It's a situation in which Philadelphia has become so good at it, and teams are so frustrated with stopping it that they want to ban it. That's it.
Okay, but while I agree with the part about Philly being the most successful at it, because obviously they are. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, of course, I do think a lot of it is geared towards Philly and how unstoppable they've made it when they're executing it. But with that said, like, we've seen other rules go into place. Like, we're going to get into it like right now. Talking about other rule changes. We're talking about going to electronic sticks. That really didn't become a true thing until Buffalo got what we all believe was shafted on a first down call that really wasn't there. And it feels like every time Buffalo loses to Kansas City, we get a new rule coming in. So first you get the overtime rule change where both teams get a possession. And now you get this where, the electronic sticks come into play. I don't necessarily think it's a sour grapes thing, although it can just specifically be tied to one situation. But at the same time, like, as an Eagles fan, I 100% understand where you're coming from, because this is who the rule is tailored for. But I'm just saying, as a football fan, I want to get back to regular QB sneaks. And I'm fine with the formation. Just don't have the guys pushing, because they even talked about it on the morning show today. And Brett made up a good point, how you can't push players on the defensive side of the ball. So even if you take that rule out, I'm all for the tush push. You let my linebackers and my safeties come in and shove my defensive tackles up in the middle there, I'm all game for it at that point. But as everything is currently constructed, I feel like you have to find a way to make the balance back there.
Shall we?
Grow up. It's a football play. Just grow up.
It's not a football play.
It is football play. I mean, they probably on a football field. It looks like a football play to me. This isn't this. I mean, this, like, I remember when the Wildcat first started, and Miami ran it really well, and I think Minnesota ran it really well, and everybody was like, how are we going to stop it? Like, what are we going to do? This is stupid. And then defenses adjusted, and then it became to the point where it was counterproductive to run it because it really wasn't effective at all. Then everybody stopped running it. It's something that I think people get annoyed with it, because it's not like, for instance, like, you bring up Brady with QB sneak in like a critical time in the game. The Eagles are just so good at it. If it's a 3rd and 1 in the first quarter, they're going to run it and they don't care. Their whole goal is just to get a first down and move the sticks. That's the point of football. You got to keep moving the football. I guess I'm a little jaded with it because we are the ones that use it, and we're the hot, the hot topic with the subject. But at the end of the day, also, like, if Baltimore was doing this with Lamar Jackson, like, I wouldn't be yelling at the screen, being like, "Oh, this is stupid." Like, stop it. It's so different than anything else. Stop it.
I guarantee if Dak Prescott was running this exact same thing,
because Dak Prescott stinks. There's a difference.
I need everybody in the chat do me a favor. Everybody in the chat do me a favor. Please give us a share out, like the video, like the post. Anybody, whether you're on Facebook right now, Twitter, I see you all on Twitter. I appreciate y'all. Give us a retweet on Twitter. If you're on Facebook, tag followers. Go at followers from me. At followers. Share it to your page. I appreciate it.
Gene, what's your stance on it? Because I already know where it's at, but I want to hear you the reason where it's at.
It's a quarterback sneak. Are you going to ban quarterback sneaks?
No,
so
absolutely not.
So what they're essentially saying is we're going to ban a player from pushing from behind. So let's hold on. Hear me out. So what about these piles where the running back's running 6 yards down the field? Are we going to stop those where you can push the running back forward into the end zone? Like, what is it? The formation that they're going to ban? I don't understand the thought process of what the ban is. Like, you can put people on the line of scrimmage, so the formation, you can't ban that. Like, so think about what the wing tee looks like. Think about what a lot of these formations where they can stand right on the line of scrimmage. They have the tight end or the fullback within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. So it's not a legal formation. So what are they going to ban? Are they going to ban pushing a player from behind? Okay, you have to ban that everywhere then. You can't ban that. Like if a wide receiver gets a 7-yard out and he gets stood up by a corner and you see the offensive line come behind to push him, that's got to be a penalty then, right?
No, not necessarily.
So what are they going to ban?
I'm saying,
in college, it used to be banned. You weren't allowed to do that in college for a long time.
But I'm saying, you can have it banned one way and not ban the other because that's literally how it is right now. Defensive players aren't allowed to push other defensive players to, move a pile or stop, to do anything. You're not allowed to push defensive players in the back. So all you have to say is you're not allowed to push quarterbacks in the back. Like that's, if it's a direct run with a quarterback, you can't push them. You can't push them in the back. I mean, ultimately they may have it, umbrella down to where you can't, push piles and things like that, which in the grand scheme of things, if we're being honest with it, that should be a player safety issue because you got players coming in out of nowhere. We see most of the time that there's some sort of flag that gets called anyway because it's, extra after the fact. So if you want to truly be behind player safety, let's stop doing the garbage with the onside kicks and how kickoff is, which, again, I know we're going to get to that here soon. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of real player safety issues where players can actually get hurt, where we've seen players get hit in the head and get hit in the knees and things like that.
Well, Brittany asked, is someone answered this? She corrected the answer. Has anyone been injured from this push? The answer is yes. Chris Jones kind of injured himself in the Super Bowl on the tush push by the way he was backing himself. And by the way, I don't know how this works. Brittany's apparently an Eagles fan and an Ohio State fan, which is kind of odd, but whatever. I just think that when you look at that situation,
the Eagles fan and the Michigan fan, so I mean, same thing, right?
Everybody hates Ohio State.
Not everybody.
Everybody but Ohio State fans.
There's been players that have been hurt on the play, but no more than a player getting hurt on an inside zone run. It's the same.
Yeah, there's not a laundry list of people that have been out and put on IR because of this play. Chris Jones is probably banged up anyway. Took like you said, just took he got hit a weird way.
No, he put it back to the center's helmet.
That's what I'm saying.
It was a weird setup. He did intentional.
Yeah. So I mean, again, if he plays it straight up, probably doesn't get hurt. I don't know, man. I part of me is with Cottrell in that, and I've been on record since we started doing this show with this stuff. A lot of stuff they say they do is directly counterproductive to player safety. But at the same time, there's a lot more dangerous things that happen in the course of a football game than the tush push.
I agree with that too. I'm not even saying it's the most dangerous. I just think I remember us having the show after that game, and we're talking about Luvu being a dirty player for jumping over the top, hitting Jalen Hurts in the head. You got to find creative ways to stop this tush push if it's going to be allowed. So I don't want to hear the stuff about it being dirty players hitting the quarterback in the head, things like that, because you got to do whatever you can to stop it. If
Bro,
you're going to call it a football play,
the quarterback in the head is
they're two different things. They're two different things.
Not like
it's, but he wasn't jumping over the top and just smacking him in the head. Like that wasn't the intent. He's trying to literally grab Jalen Hurts however he can, if it's by the helmet, by the neck, whatever he can to stop him from moving forward. I'm saying if you're going to allow the play, you can't be like, oh, well, you can't do this like to stop it. Like that's not okay. Grab him by the head or neck. Like if it's going to be allowed, I mean, let defenses be just as creative in figuring out ways how to stop it then. And again, if you want to go that route and say tush push is fine, let them be able to jump over the piles. I'm perfectly fine with that. And let them also push their defensive players. And if that was the case,
defensive players though.
Let's keep it open.
I'm fine with them pushing defensive players, though. I don't think that's the issue. But let's get on. There's another rule change that I want to talk about, and you kind of alluded to it, and I'd love to get into that part. Apparently they're going to put like tracking devices inside footballs, and inside these footballs, they're going to know whether that football crossed the line of scrimmage. There's no more chain gang. It's gone. They're going to have intelligence that's going to let you know where the football is at all times, and if it crosses the first down marker. I'm confused. I have to watch it before I fully understand it. Let me give you an example. Forward progress, full control of the football. Like, I don't know how they're going to rule that and how that's going. Is it that real time that they have, like, to the minute of where the football is at that moment? I don't know. Are they putting it in the nose of the football? Is it in the middle of the football? Like, are they putting it in both noses of the football? Like, I don't know. So, like, this is one of those ones where it seems like technology makes sense here. Yeah, I know there's a chip in the ball. I follow that. Can you give me a better understanding of it?
So from what I read, it's going to be at both ends of the ball. Now, from the one proposal I read was that plays that you're talking about, eventually, not right away, like the first year I heard they're not going to have it, but eventually they will be able to sync, kind of like what you said, by the second of where the ball is versus syncing it with the video. So I think on, like pileups and stuff like that, I think unfortunately for the first year, that stuff's still going to go to kind of like the booth and going to be replayed that way. But other ones, what it'll also do is, by what I read is, in those pileups, if the ball ever does get to the line, they will be alerted that it got there. So it will still speed everything up and also help them spot the ball, because you'll know that it at least got to that line for the first down. So like anything else, I mean, I think the big thing, which will be important too, is they're going to implement it on the goal line. So when you have guys diving or you have quarterback sneaks and you have people lost, under 4 humongous linemen, you'll know where the ball is and if it got there or not. So I like it. I like it because it speeds up the game. I think it takes away a little bit of, the advantage for the offense, which I kind of like, because they're not going to have like the guaranteed ref timeout to spend 3 minutes to spot the ball and decide what they want to do. If the buzzer doesn't go off, that the ball didn't get there, they're gonna be on a regular play clock, and they have to either call timeout or run a play right away. So I like that part of it. I think it keeps the flow of the game. Because I think with all this replay, the whole scope of replay in general, when they started to expand it, they didn't want to slow the game down or ruin the flow. And I feel like we're starting to get back towards the point where the games are stopped too much. Between that and, the goddamn commercials, we talk about baseball all the time. I mean, football games taking 3.5 hours routinely now, unless it's a weird game where, it's 2 running teams and the clock just keeps running. So I like it. I think it's going to help. I think like anything else, I think it'll probably take a year or 2 to really iron out the kinks and get it to where it's super effective. But, pardon me, old school, I'll miss the old chain guys, though. Like, I like them over there, always running around and trying to get around people. And, eventually one of them gets run over probably once a game, which is nice. So, but I also heard another thing. I heard another thing that they're going to keep them, but just, they're just really going to be there for show. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely talked about keeping the chain gang there as backups. But, I mean, I think the part that I think can get a little bit muddy is when you have like those piles that we're talking about, and the league, the refs obviously are going to be blowing their whistles, but like at what point does the ball like cut off? You know what I mean? Like, because if you're at the bottom of this pile, and if I'm a running back or something, like I'd be at the bottom of the pile just pushing the ball forward, like just scooting it up a little bit, like as much as I can, although I'm at the bottom, like, and you just imagine, like you see it on replay and be like, all right, well, the guy's clearly down at this point, or at some point in this squabble here, his knees got to be on the ground, or we call it the play dead or whatever. But how can you sync it up at the same time as right when the whistle was blown or when that forward progress was stopped, like Gene was kind of mentioning there. So I mean, I think I like the premise of it. let's get as many of these calls right as possible. I think that's what's the most important part of all this is. So then after the games, we don't have to have those conversations about, oh, well, that one play changed the game, or we could have, fixed this with this call being right.
They had that chip in the Bills game 100%. I think I'm not saying 100% the Bills win the game, but 100% that changed the game. Like anybody with two eyes knew Josh Allen had that first down. I don't understand. And the worst part of it is, forget that play. The play prior, Dalton Kincaid had the first down. And I'm not trying to be that guy. I get it. It's in Kansas City. And like, they still could have had a chance to win the football game. I'm not saying Pat doesn't go down and make something happen. But there were back-to-back plays where if this rule was in place, Buffalo would have had that first down. Now, they could throw a pick six the next play. You never know what happens. So to the Bills fans that are crying sour grapes about anything in the world, about like, oh, well, we would have won the game. Yeah, I don't know. But I will say this. The chips in the football, if you know where they're at, it makes a lot of sense. I have no issue with that. But how do they know when the knee is down?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's going to be
that's what I got to watch.
The best.
And again, from what I read, is that's going to take a season or two to get the technology right to where they can sync, like you said, like knees down. When we stop it on tape here, the knee, we know where the football is. And it was shorter, it wasn't. I think the first year you're going to see it, it's going to be used for routine stuff. Like, does the guy dive? Does he get there or not? And then I think they'll implement it more and more as people that are a lot smarter than us figure out the technology and figure out for it to work. Then I think another 2 or 3 seasons, I think you'll see it to the point where it's probably, good within probably, an inch and probably like a millisecond of real time. And then at that point, you can't argue anymore. I mean, that's as good as it's going to get.
All right. Did you guys see the other one?
The kickoff one?
Well, the kickoff, and then there was, that you saying kickoff kind of just threw me. I know the kickoff. I'm hoping they want to get back. I didn't see officially what the new proposal is for the kickoff, but I'm hoping they want to get back to normal or moving up 35 for
just get rid of it at this point. Like they don't want the kickoff return. So, but they don't want to just be like, oh, all right, we'll just go throw the ball out in the 35-yard and start. Like, because
this is what I wanted to see. I love this. The chip will be located in the center of the ball behind the logo on the opposite side of the air plug, where the chip says ball is up, add up the difference and make up the difference of 5.5 inches. NFL ball is 11 inches long. That is a detailed explanation. John, I appreciate that. As usual, I appreciate all your commentary.
But just at this point, just get rid of it, because now they're talking about if it's a touchback, you're going to the 30. You're getting the ball.
We're trying so hard to get it to people to return these kicks.
Yeah.
Like,
you want people to return kicks? I'm telling you how you do it now. You want to get rid of the kickoff? Perfectly fine with it. Put a quarterback back there like it's old school, and have the quarterback throw it from the opposite 35. He launched it as far as he can, and the other team gets the returner from there, like the old school days
recess ball
of recess. You throw a third string quarterback there. Not even necessarily wherever it lands, but that's your new, because you're not having quarterbacks aren't throwing it from, or anybody. You could put anybody out there if they have a strong arm, but no one's throwing it through the back of the end zone. But I'm with you. I think they need to get rid of it, because at this point,
you're not a fan of the dynamic kickoff, Cottrell?
I want back surprise onside kicks. I want back. They don't have to wait until the fourth quarter to do it. I don't want them to have to declare that they want to do it. Like I want, like the Super Bowl. Like thinking back, like the Super Bowl with the Saints and the Colts, literally
the ballsiest calls
wouldn't happen in today's league. Like
Super
Bowl was terrible this past year. Eagles were beating the shit out the Chiefs this year. Andy Reid might have been like, you know what? Let's try and get him with a surprise onside kick, get an extra possession in this game, and see if we can get some momentum. No, that can't happen in today's league.
Was they scored with like 30 seconds left in the third quarter, and they weren't allowed to kick it onside kick.
Yeah,
now, granted,
exactly.
It's got to reach
for sure.
But like, it was like they were down 28 points, and they're like, "Sorry, it's not the fourth quarter. You gotta wait. You gotta wait." You're like, what?
Yeah,
That's a wild thing.
It's ridiculous.
If you want the returns, I like you can't keep moving the kickers back and then rewarding the receiving team with touchbacks. Like now I'm talking about starting the ball in the 35. Like that's ridiculous. Like now you're like one play away from being midfield, like one first down midfield. That's too much. Like I would keep it.
Touchbacks.
You could, or you do this. You kick it off. Even if you catch it in the end zone, you run it out. And if you don't get to the 20, then we'll put the ball in the 25 for you. And if you get past the 25, wherever you get tackled, you get tackled.
We'll just eliminate touchbacks.
That's what I'm doing.
If they kick it through the end zone, it goes to 35.
I said if you catch it in the end zone and run, you have to run it out no matter what. And if you don't get to the 25, then you put the ball in the 25 anyway.
This is what it was.
And if you get past the 25, then wherever you get tackled, that's where the ball gets spotted.
The other rule that they were reviewing was adding or adopting the postseason format to overtime and putting it into the regular season. So where no matter what, each team gets possession.
No issues with that.
And if your kicker kicks it through the end zone, then the other team gets the ball in the 30.
Brittany, thank you very much for tagging Highlight. And if anybody in the chat, CJ, John Suggs, Kyle Edwards, William Joseph, tag followers, at Highlight. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Give one player on the field. No, I can't read that.
What is it? I got to go in to see it now.
I'll put it up for 10 seconds. Not even. That's hilarious. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's pretty funny. Thank you, Bill.
It's crap.
It's right on par with Billy Brancato.
If you know Billy Brancato, it's not that shocking.
I think the part that is also confusing to me is like, is the NFL, so you try to get rid of these onside kicks, and we've heard about the proposals of trying a 4th and 15 play instead of an onside kick, and all the nonsense that goes on with that. What part of the kickoff is the NFL like trying to fix? Like, did they think the kickoff was too dangerous before, and so they put all these guys closer together to not make the collisions as violent? Like, I just, if I understood where they were coming from, like
they don't want people running full speed.
That's what it is.
But it's never been a problem before, like in the NFL. Like the tush push. No, like the tush push.
No, go watch 80s and 90s, bro. Like it
that's fine.
It wasn't good. It wasn't.
But they didn't fix it. But they didn't fix it though until, well, I shouldn't say fix, but they didn't change this until last year. Like if you look at the past 10 years,
the point that I'm trying to make,
it was fine.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on the kid's name. The Eagles linebacker that took over for Nakobe Dean. Why am I drawing a blank on this guy's name? He played after Nakobe Dean got hurt. He got abused in the
Owen. What? Is it Owen?
No.
Owen Burks.
Why am I Oren Burks? Oren Burks hit on the Packers return guy was just as bad as any hit you would see in the 90s.
For sure.
Like, he didn't have a running start. He still smashed him, dude. It was top. Because if you're letting the guy run from the 40-yard line instead of the 45 of the other, like, it's like 15, 20 yards. They're moving it up. That's it. I don't know. They
got rid of that. They got rid of the wedge blocking, which again was kind of the same thing. I mean, you get 4 guys together. It's like watching a scene from like Gladiator. But see, the human wedge. That's what it was. Like there was a lot of stuff that needed to go. The onside one, I understood.
I was with the wedge. That's how you had the big kickoff returns, baby.
Yeah. I mean, you just see people run full speed and then just long dart into the wedge to try to break it off. Like that's what it was. It's like a battering ram that you just lay there and get up. But the onside one I always understood because the kicking team would literally line up like 10 yards away from the guy. They would have a full running start. You have this ball bouncing up in the air that you have to watch, and then you just watch guys get obliterated, like just smash like 10 yards back, like out of frame.
But they fixed it. They fixed it.
I agree. That one they went too far. I think if you line up both sides, you know obviously at that point you're announcing you're doing it anyway. But if you don't give the kickoff team a running start, it's not that big a deal. Like they still. They had to change it now. Like only half the team can be on one side of the field. Like they just tinker with it too much, and it's just the whole point of onside kicks, which makes them exciting and somewhat of a resourceful like piece of the game is they have to be able to be recovered sometimes.
Yeah.
Like now it's just a joke. Like it's impossible. It's so rare that one happens.
But it's less than 10% at this point.
Oh, I'd say it's probably less than 5%.
Well, let me see the onside recovery rate this year. Onside.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was less than 10% this year.
Rate NFL. 8.6. That's pretty close. The decade before it was 16.4. So it dropped.
There you go. That's 16
what I need. 16 is like perfect number.
It's almost 1 in 5.
Yes, I agree. I love that. All right. Well, we'll obviously talk more about the NFL rule changes. We'll get into NFL free agency, another show, but 30 minutes to start the show on NFL rule changes. It's time to move on, guys. We told you guys this isn't just an NFL show. I know it's been football for the last 7 months. We got some MLB lists, and instead, because we didn't do it last week, we're going to double down. Some pitchers, some catchers. Baseball is back. We got our top 10 list. And before we release our list, time to remind you, this is a projections list. There's no wrong answer unless it's Shally's. I'm kidding. There's no wrong answer on the list. It's what we're projecting for the season. This isn't who the top 5 guys are at their position. It is a projections list for 2025. Now, earlier today, Control posted on the page our 10 through 6. We will go over our top 5 now. Do you want to do catchers first or pitchers?
So I got pitchers here, and I put up the 6 through 10 here. We're not going to go through them here, but I just wanted to have them up so everybody could see them in case they didn't see them on the page. If there was anything on the list that you guys just wanted to point out or be like, I wonder what's going on there, or anything like that, just quick comments. We're not going through it, but I got it here just as a point of reference for us too.
So I love the Cole Ragans love from Shally. I love that. I'm just, what I'm looking at right now, and maybe this is me. Do you guys not have Garrett Crochet on your list, or is he top 5? Like, am I underrating him or am I overrating him? I don't know that yet because I haven't seen your lists.
You're about to see soon.
Garrett Crochet was a very good pitcher last year. All right, that's all right. We'll find out. And he's in Boston now. So we'll see.
Bill, anything about the list here before we go on to the top 5?
No, I mean, I think Gene mentioned Cole, which I'm glad to see he got some love. We all have Blake, right at the cutoff. And I struggled with him a little bit because he gets off the slow starts, but I think
he's too perfect.
Correct. I think his numbers are probably going to look a little bit better than what he actually does probably by the end of the year, because he's just on that goddamn dream team at this point. So
he might start the year off 6-0 with a 3.5 ERA.
Yeah.
Strider's out until like July, right?
No, he's coming back in. He's going to be back in by May. Like they say, he's going to rejoin the team in April.
We'll see.
I don't think you see the majors till probably June, but that's what I was going to get to. I like that we still gave the injured guys some love here. Sandy, Spencer, and then obviously DeGrom with me. But it'll be interesting. I mean, DeGrom might start opening day, but I don't know about Sandy yet. And obviously Strider's going to at least probably miss the first 2 months, but it'll be interesting to see how all those guys bounce back and make it to the end of the season, if they do, hopefully.
So not a bad 6 through 10. I mean, I respect the whole list. I think Sale is way too low on Cottrell's list. I'm assuming he's in
if I had to pick one, that it's kind of the glaring one for me.
Well, the reason being, though, you're about to see here shortly.
You have Garrett Crochet top 5. That's fine.
Go right into it. We got Garrett Crochet at number 5.
There we go. I'm okay with it. Wait, how doesn't have on his list? This is interesting.
So for me,
we view Garrett Crochet massively different. Control has him as the top 5 pitcher. I have him in the 6-10 ratio, and Shally thinks he stinks.
I know he stinks. I think he's a guy that came out of nowhere and good.
I was gonna say, I'll say for me, I think the biggest thing is that he's going into a team that is not the White Sox. Like, getting away from that death wish is going to be everything. And I mean, obviously we saw the kind of year that he had last year. little bit of up and downs there, but you see the potential with him. It was his first year as a full-time starter. And you saw the growth and the potential that he had. So I think with him, obviously still young, huge, has everything that you need. I think for me, that just kind of shows you that him going to Boston, he's going to have all the opportunity to pick up wins on nights where maybe his stuff's not hitting how he wants it to, but he's also going to have the opportunity where he can now win, 1-run ball games, a 2-1 game, or, a 1-0 game, things like that going in his favor. And I think that kind of thing is going to build confidence there. So for me, I like Garrett Crochet to take that next step this year and prove to be a top 5 pitcher.
Okay.
I've Sale at 5. And again, I don't think this is necessarily indicative of what he is. I mean, the guy won the Cy Young last year. He won the Triple Crown for pitchers. I just don't know if he necessarily repeats it. But he's tough. He's tough. I also, you have to remember with Chris Sale, the 2 years before he had arm trouble, I mean, he was debatably the best starter in baseball at Boston before they traded him. So his stuff, obviously, he got his stuff back. Crazy numbers last year. Again, I think he has a very good year. He will be the ace of that staff, especially with Strider starting the year on the IL. But he will have another good year with a very good baseball team in Atlanta, a very good lineup to support him. I just don't think he quite duplicates what he did last year.
Eric, I know you're a Yankees fan, bro, but come on. I agree with everything you just said. Chris Sale has got incredible stuff. He's a super competitive pitcher. Competes every time he's out there. He pitches in Atlanta, which they have one of the top defenses in all baseball. It's obviously a pitcher's ballpark. Like, there's a lot of things that head in the right direction for Chris Sale, and he's a really good pitcher. So undoubtedly the ace of the staff. I think Atlanta has a huge bounce back year, and Chris Sale is easy top 5 for me. I guess I have Paul Skeens too low. I don't know. I didn't know where I had to put Paul Skeens.
He was tough.
So, like, I have him 4, and it's nothing against him, right? Like, it's just when hitters see you a second or third or fourth time around, it's just a little different, right? Like, I think he's going to have a great year. And him adding 2 pitches to his arsenal, I think he's going to be awesome. The 3 guys I have ahead of him, I'll get into them. I just think that they've lived their careers with ERAs below 3. That's what they've done in year after year. And not Skubal, but Skubal was just literally a whole man wrecking crew last year, which obviously we'll get into that. But Paul Skeens is incredible. He's a great pitcher. He's great for baseball. I don't want to say he takes a step back. That's not real. He's top 4. I just have him 4.
I have Garrett Cole 4. He's just a guy. I mean, he's a workhorse. Not my favorite guy in the world. Think he's got a weird personality, but at some point you just have to acknowledge what he is. I mean, he's the definition of an ace. He usually takes a month off every year for some, have it be a finger or some crazy injury. But I mean, he's been very high on Cottrell's list in the past and kind of gotten crap for that. And at some point, you just have to acknowledge what he is. He's just a workhorse. He's going to go out and pitch another probably close to 200 innings this year. He'll be up over 300 strikeouts. He'll anchor that Yankee staff, which has gotten a lot better. Mentioning the aforementioned Max Fried and Luis Gil and all the guys the Yankees have for a team that is favored to win the division. I think he will have very impressive numbers like he always does. It's just really hard to keep him out of the top 5. I think his situation in New York is just too good. I think he could have numbers that are very similar to other guys on the middle of these lists. But like I said, I think kind of like we mentioned with Blake Snell earlier, I think he's going to win. He's easily going to win probably 3 or 4 or 5 games this year that he shouldn't when he doesn't pitch well, and the Yankees just put up more runs than the other team, and he'll get cheap W's that way. So I got Garrett Cole number 4.
Real quick, I want to put this up there real quick. Eric, I don't gamble anymore. I stopped. But I will take this bet. And this is what I want the bet to be. And I want you to say accept in the chat or decline.
Oh, so damn better.
Well, hear me out. He
Good bet for
said
you.
that Louis Gill and Max Fried will both have better records than Chris Sale and Corbin Burns. We'll bet on it. So we can't say better records because I'm not going by winning percentage. We'll go by more wins. That's a fair, like who has the most wins, right? If one guy's 12 and 1 and the other guy's 13 and 8, like the guy that has 13 wins would win. I'll take Sale and Burns combined wins versus Heel and Fried's combined wins. Here's the bet. I hand delivered. You have to drive down there. Hand delivered Angelo's cheesesteak. Hand delivered. You got to stay in the line. You got to pay cash. You got to get the Cooper Sharp. And you got to deliver it to the other one's house. Say yes or no. If you say no, it's fine. But that's a bet if you want it.
So both pitchers' records, you're just adding up the wins from both.
Correct. Just total wins.
Higher number of wins.
Correct.
Eric, I don't think you should take this bet.
Well, I would like a hand delivered. I would like a hand delivered Angelo.
I trust me. I'm with you on that one.
Sorry, let me know since you want to bet on it.
So
I'm sorry, Cottrell. I apologize.
No, you're good.
We still owe Cottrell cheesesteaks for Christ's sake.
He doesn't come down here.
It's true. He did leave. It's true.
He owes me a cheesesteak for the Colorado bet.
I do owe.
So our cheesesteak gets canceled out.
This is facts, and Eric's on board. So there you go, Gene. But number 4 for me, I got Corbin Burns of now the Arizona Diamondbacks. Corbin Burns is a guy for me who, you talk about schemes being the hard one to place. For me, that was Corbin Burns. Third team, 3 years. And I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, strikeouts down a lot compared to years past. ERA, I mean, still had a great ERA. Like, don't get me wrong, still pitched great last year. It was at a 2.9. But that's not where he is, like when he's at his peak, when he's at his best. So I'm like, is Corbin Burns still top 3? Like, is he still that guy? I still think he's a lead pitcher. I think he's going to be an all-star this year. I think he's going to go to Arizona. He's going to be an ace on that staff. Like, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But for me, I think the important thing was that, if it's guys that I know going to go out there and just give me their best stuff, game in, game out, I think the 3 that I have ahead of Burns, I just personally believe are just flat out better, at this point. And just kind of leading right into that, I got Zach Wheeler number 3 here, and the biggest reason for that is Zach Wheeler walks out of he gets out of bed, goes to spring training, hops in that Phillies rotation, and he's a walking Cy Young Award finalist every single year. You know what you're going to get with him. He's consistent. He is the ace of that staff. You guys have been talking about it on the show for the past few years. Like when he was taking over that top spot from Nola there, he's taken it and he's ran with it. Zach Wheeler is a guy for me that, I just already know when it comes down to it, he is going to be one of the 3 finalists for the Cy Young because he is just that good. And you know what you're getting with him every single year. So I think Zach Wheeler has the potential to finish number 1 on this list. But for me, I just think 2 guys that I have ahead of him are just going to have slightly better seasons.
Well, yeah, these are our top 5 pitchers projected this year, so they're not names out of a hat. What would your list be, Ed?
For me, I'm going Skeens at number 3. I think you can make an easy argument for him to be 1 or number 2. I wouldn't really have a ton of pushback either way. I think my top 3 guys anyway, I think are the top 3 pitchers in baseball. But Paul Skeens, absolute just filth that comes out of his hand every time he throws a pitch. And it doesn't matter which one he throws. And now he's got 2 different ones this year that I think he's going to mix in. He is the only thing that I agree with a little bit on Gene is there is now, there's a lot of tape on him now. So, will he still be dominant? Absolutely. Will guys get to him a little bit, maybe more than they did last year? Probably. He's just got to not fall into patterns. He's got to pitch backwards sometimes, but he's electric. He's another guy that is if you live in Pittsburgh, every time he was home and he's pitching, I'd be at the ballpark because there's a 15% chance every time you walk in that ballpark when he's pitching, he's going to throw a no-hitter. That's about where he is. He's power. He's electric. He is everything that we thought, that you heard about him coming up and, getting to the big leagues fast. He fulfilled every single bit of it. All the potential, all the hype, it's all there. He's just going to get better. Only thing that worries me about anything else is kind of like we talked about, Pittsburgh's out of it in the middle of September. Last year he was going to win Rookie of the Year running away, but if he's not in the hunt for Cy Young or something like that, you're always worried about Pittsburgh shutting him down to save his arm, which in the long run is probably a good idea, but that is literally, one of the only reasons I put him at number 3. I think he gets limited at the end of the season because they don't want to kill him. And for that kind of investment, I don't blame him. But again, Charleston 1, GM 4. If you have him 1, again, I really wouldn't argue against it. But the kid is absolutely great.
So you talked about Corbin Burns' strikeouts being down control, and I'm not. I just wanted to bring up his velocity wasn't though. His velocity was actually up 3 points, not miles per hour, but points. So it was basically 0.2 of a mile per hour faster this year than it was last year. But it was down his hard hit percentage. He was at 31.6% hard hit percentage, which was lower than his previous 2 years. It was the second lowest of his career. I think Corbin Burns going back to the National League and outside of LA, San Diego's had a decent lineup, but outside of LA, he's going to pitch in. I don't want to say the league is a little bit lighter lineups to face the NL. It's kind of what it's been historically for years. I think he's going to pitch great in Arizona. I think he's 29 years old, in the prime of his career. His hard hit percentage was down. His velocity was up. I'm good. 2.9 ERA. The guy lives in the 2s as far as his ERAs. His last 5 years, he has a 2.92, 3.39 the year prior, a 2.94, a 2.43, and a 2.11 ERA. The guy is just all world, and he's an innings eater. 194, 193, 202. He's going to give you innings every year. And you know what else he's really good at? He doesn't walk a lot of people. He had 18 less walks this year on the same amount of innings. So the guy's got less than 50 walks and close to 200 strikeouts every year. I will take that for my number 3 spot. My number 2 spot, I have Zach Wheeler. And I know CJ and Derek Dempsey said they were concerned with Wheeler this year. I'm not. I think that Wheeler grabs the ball every 5th day and gives you competitive pitching each time he gets out there. Are you concerned with him because you feel like it's been too many good years in a row? Help me understand the concern. Here's where I'm at. Wheeler's no doubt about it, ace on the staff. And the Phillies, through the majority of the year, could run a 6-man rotation and could actually save his arm. I like Wheeler. At number 2. He knows how to pitch in the ballpark. He knows the people that are pitching behind him. He's my number 2 pitcher.
Number 2, I got Tariq Skubal, Detroit. Guy burst on the scene 2 years ago, and his last 2 seasons have been incredible. Lefty, great fastball, great changeup. He's going to anchor a Detroit rotation this year. That is going to be sneaky good. And I think Detroit's going to be sneaky good in the AL Central. I think they will be competition for Minnesota and Cleveland to win that division this year. He's as dominant gets. He's a guy, believe it or not, that is really not a household name yet. And a lot of that has to do with him playing in Detroit and him coming out of nowhere the last 2 years. But he is another guy. He can't miss baseball. If you have a chance to watch him, go watch him. He's exciting, pounds his zone, challenges hitters, electric stuff as well. Dude is just he's just good baseball. I don't even know really what else to say. I love the kid. Obviously, a great advantage that he's a lefty, and he is going to be one of these guys that's on this list for the foreseeable future. Still a young kid, so Tariq Skubal number 2 for me.
Yeah, and I'll echo everything you said there. I mean, coming off a Triple Crown Cy Young season last year, obviously I got to see him firsthand a ton. Got to see him twice in the playoffs too. Definitely not my favorite pitcher at all to see in those matchups. But I mean, I think both of you, well, Gene, you haven't got to him yet, but Bill, I think you hit a lot of it on the head there. He is very aggressive as a pitcher. Like, he's definitely going to challenge pitchers. He's going to make umps call those tough calls on the outside of the zone. And he can throw things right past you too. So, yeah, Scooble is absolute monster. Hate seeing that guy as much as I do, but hopefully this upcoming year, I'm hoping the Tigers suck and some team is super aggressive and they make a trade offer that Detroit can't refuse, so they go get the ace of a staff there. But I think Scooble's absolutely special, and if he's continues on the pace, I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't be the favorite to repeat as the AL Cy Young. But number one for me, got Paul Skeens. Both of you guys have talked about him already, so I won't stay too long on him. But I just think with where he's at and the success he was able to have his rookie year, adding more pitches, and he's a guy that, a lot of young kids can sometimes have like confidence issues. Paul Skeens isn't that. He comes in, he dominates, and, he's never worried about the big moments. He's not worried about what batter he's facing. Like we've seen last year where, he'll go and attack, great hitters on that side. So, I mean, I think for me, I think Skeens takes that next step this year, and I don't care if Pittsburgh's bad or not. I think Paul Skeens is ultimately going to be dominant, and I think he's going to take home the NL Cy Young. So I'm rolling with Paul Skeens, have the best year out of everybody.
I'm going with Wheels number one. A guy that you could argue could have won, very close Cy Young races the last 2 years. He will be the number one pitcher for the Phillies this year. They've already announced he will start opening day, which ends Aaron Nola's run. Guy's a workhorse. Very, very quiet, very subdued guy. Just goes out. He's about his business. Another guy with electric stuff, high 90s fastball, great cutter, great slider. Probably underrated changeup when he does throw it. And he's been a part of a Phillies rotation for the last couple of years. It's been very good. Like Gene said, I do think for parts of the year they might run a 6-man, keep him and Nola a little bit more fresh for the playoffs and the stretch run. So I love that idea. I hope it happens. But Wheeler, I think, finally gets his due this year. I think Wheeler wins the NL Cy Young. It's long overdue. And again, he's a guy. He fits the city perfectly. Very quiet, very kind of blue collar type guy. Does his work, goes out, doesn't want a lot for it. And he just goes out and dominates. Guy, like Gene said, that every 5 days you can go hand the ball to him and you're going to get 7 innings at least, probably give up 2 or 3 hits, maybe 1 run, probably 8, 9, 10 Ks, and you should win the ball game every time. So go Wheeler number one for me this year.
John, I love you. I must be missing something. I know Logan Gilbert has a lot of strikeouts. I do. He's never had a season below a 3 ERA, 3.23 last year. And then Seth Lugo, I mean, you're talking about a guy that had one really good half of a season in the last 7 years. I'm not trying to be an asshole when I say this, but like the guy had a 1.29 ERA for the first half of last year and still didn't finish in the 2s in his ERA last year. Completely fell off the planet. He's not a top 10 pitcher. I apologize. My number one pitcher is Tariq Skubal. Go ahead, sorry, Charlie.
Logan Gilbert's a very good pitcher. I mean, he's not a top 10. He's not a top 10 pitcher. He's probably in that group of next 10. But he's also benefit playing out in Seattle. And I mean, again, that's another one of those pitchers' paradise ballparks. But he's very good. He's just not top 10 for me. But he's probably in that next group. Seth Lugo, no.
I have Tariq Skubal number one, and I think outside of the game in which they were eliminated by the Guardians, and when he was pitching on short rest again, and like and let me just be clear, the Guardians played their ass off.
Logan Thomas, baby.
Yeah, huge for them. He threw 3 shutouts in a row, 2 in the postseason he was a dominant pitcher down the stretch. He had 7 starts in a row down the stretch where he allowed 1 run or less. Like, Tariq Skubal is not only dominant, he put a Detroit Tigers team on his back and drug them into the postseason. I got to give the guys credit. I think he's dominant. I think he's all world. One time is, we'll see what happens. The second time is not a coincidence anymore. This kid is dominant. I think the league's in great hands with young pitchers like Scooble and Skeens, the SKs. If you like to give them the nickname, the SKs, I'm on top of it. But I love Tariq Scooble, and I think he's the best pitcher in baseball right now. So he's my number one.
So before we get to catchers, a lot of big names coming back from injuries this year.
Okay.
You got DeGrom, you got Alcantara, you got Strider, you got Gene's other number one left-handed love from Tampa Bay. What's his name? McClanahan. Who do you think has the best year out of those four?
I think Alcantara's done. I think he's done.
Who?
He's done.
I think Alcantara's done. I think Alcantara's done. I love Alcantara. One of my favorite pitchers in all baseball. I think he's done. He's
already been clocked at 100 miles per hour, like so far during spring training. Like, I don't know how. Like, what about it? What makes you think he's done?
It's been 2 years, and the last year when he was hurt, he essentially. Sandy is a guy that had a lot of innings that were put on his body. And his last year, granted, he was hurt in 2023. He was getting shelled. And it's hard for me to believe a guy is going to take a year and a half off and be anywhere near what he was in 2022. It's 2025. I love Alcantara. I do. Him pitching 228 innings on a non-playoff team in 2022 had to be criminal. I'm sorry. It was criminal. One of my favorite pitchers in baseball. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he is a top 10 pitcher. The pitcher I think that looks the best by the end of the season is a guy that has just unbelievable stuff, and Spencer Strider. I think Strider could be up here with Scooble, with Skeens. He's just incredible. So Strider would be my answer, and unfortunately, I think Alcantara's done.
Well, for me, I'm rolling with Sandy. I think Sandy's going to show he's back. I think he's going to do whatever he can to get the hell out of Miami. While he can, you want to put out that you can be a quality pitcher, and so then that way teams make the move for you, because we know Miami, they were trying to trade him before he got hurt. Or they were, I shouldn't say trying to trade him, but they were listening to calls if teams were calling about him. So I think he probably knows that. And I'd imagine as a competitor at some point, he wants to get the hell out of Miami. So I think, especially coming off an injury, you have something to prove. And you want to get out of Miami. Like, I think with Strider, he can take his time in Atlanta. Like, they're not going to rush to get him back because they know what he can, they know what he brings to the team, but also they don't need him to be back right away to be, right where he left off per se. I think with Sandy, he's had the time, he's ready. He's going to start, from day one there. I'm rolling with Sandy to have the best bounce back year.
Sorry. Before we get to catcher, it's 8:00. It's trivia time. We'll basically split the pitchers and catchers list, and then we'll get to the second half of the show after trivia. But I'm ready.
Who would you say on the list though?
I would actually go with DeGrom, to be honest.
Okay.
He made one start. He went 2 starts last year, and if you look at his Ks per nine and everything, they were exactly where they normally are. Had that weird shoulder blade injury. Honest to God, I think with everything going on with him, I actually think him being shut down for a year probably helped him. I think he comes back this year, and I think he looks. I think he's in the mix for everything come the end of the year. I really do. If he stays healthy, I still think he's Jacob deGrom. So I'd be really curious to see how he does out in the AL West.
I'm going to type the question. I know that you probably didn't type it in. I'm going to type the question that you asked, so it's on the board so everyone can see it. So just give me a second when you read it, if you don't mind, and then I'll turn the comments off. Is that fair for everybody?
Sounds good to me, my friend.
All right. So let me I'll edit it and Shally, whenever you're ready.
Top scorers, since we are only mere weeks away from March Madness. We're going to go to the college hardwoods here.
Okay.
We are going to go top scorers in NCAA men's basketball tournament history. So there's top 10 guys that have scored the most points in the tournament.
Is it all right? So 1 year or total?
Total.
Okay, so this would be somebody that plays multiple years as opposed to like a one hit wonder run.
Correct. I think everybody on the list made at least 2 tournaments.
Okay, just making sure I didn't want to. All right, so let me turn off comments. All right,
yep.
They should be turned off now. All right. Okay, so
you're starting us off.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the just 4-year guys. I'm just gonna nail as many as I can. Guys that have been to the tournament. I'm gonna see. I'll go. A guy had a documentary about him. I hate Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner's got to be on this list.
Christian Laettner is number 1.
Yeah.
I figured he had to be high on the list. I'm gonna go with. I'm curious to see how everything goes here. So I'm gonna go with the guy who won 4 national championships at UCLA. I'll go with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is number. It's on here somewhere. Number 7 on this list.
Okay. So I'm trying. There's a lot that brings up a point. It's probably a lot of old timers. Okay, that's
hey, that's everything. That said a lot without saying anything.
There's only really like 3 like real old school guys, but they're all big names. I'll say that.
I guess that's fair. I guess that the only one that I was thinking of that was old school. Well, there's 2 of them I'm thinking of. The logo, Jerry West, is he on the list?
Jerry West is not on the list.
Yeah, well, this is why I suck at life.
Well, I'll go with the guy who was a legend at Kansas. I'll go with Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain is not on the list.
Okay. Where are we missing here? It's gonna be a tough top 10. I can just tell now.
I got some stuff. I will say that.
I will say this to both of you since we're on equal terms here. Don't go back too far. Remember, the tournament only started 40, 50 years ago. So
okay.
guys like Wilt like that are not going to be on it.
Okay. So Bill Walton.
Bill Walton is not on the list.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan is not on the list.
All right, so I got to start thinking a
Carolina
little bit
for 3 years. I got some stuff in my pocket here. I'm just curious if I get the stars out the way.
Kemba Walker is not in the top 10, but he is further down, kind of close on this list.
I don't know how long he was in college. That's part of the problem.
That's the problem, right? It was one season. I probably think I'd do better, but we'll see.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think we got a new guy on the list. Give me Drew Timme.
Drew Timme is number 10 on this list.
Let's go.
Wow. So I'll stay in that same type of realm and go with a legend in his own right, a college legend, right? A guy that's not Tyler Hansbrough.
God damn it. That was the guy who was in my pocket.
Tyler Hansbrough is number 4 on this list.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. So
Drew Timme.
Yeah, you got to think about the guys who've been there. All right, so just going through some stars. Good game. I'll go with Zach Edey.
Zach Edey is not on this list.
What about Nick Collison?
Nick Collison is not on the list. And to give you I'll let Cottrell go first, and then I'll give you the next hint.
I'm sure. I'm lost.
go-
Sorry. I don't know if you guys picked that up on the mic.
I'll go with Grant Hill.
Grant Hill is not top 10, but he's kind of in that Kemba Walker territory. Just to give you a point of reference before you say something, Gene, Drew Timme was number 10 on this list, and he was 301 points. So you're talking about a lot of points
For the 20 game.
Any Nova kids?
You better not, Bill.
I'm just thinking because like they play in the tournament and they stay there for 4 years. So like I'm just trying to think Nova kids. Oh man, I'm lost, man. I can't even believe I'm even saying this out loud. Alan Ray.
Alan Ray is not on the list.
I'm so lost. I can't even.
I'll take your Nova bait. I'll go with Scotty Reynolds.
I knew that's what you were going to say. Not on this list. So here we go. You have a guy from Houston.
Whoa, we're getting in depth.
Okay. You have a guy from Kansas.
Kansas, okay.
You have a guy from Cincinnati.
Okay.
You have a guy from Michigan. Already got him. You have a guy from Princeton. And the last guy is a guy from Arkansas.
Michigan, is that Glenn Rice?
That is correct.
Okay.
So it's 3-2.
And you said there was a school in there that you said Kansas and what was by Kansas?
Houston, Kansas. Read them again quickly.
You have Arkansas, Princeton, Cincinnati, Kansas, and Houston.
Cincinnati. I'll take a crack at that one. I'll go Kenyon Martin.
Incorrect, but good guess.
Cincinnati. I have no idea. I'm just gonna go to Kansas and keep naming Kansas. I have no idea. I literally am lost.
Yeah, the fact that he said that and then
I can't even think of good Kansas players. Sounds stupid. Like I think of a bunch of one-year wonders, but I don't think of like long-term kids at Kansas.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. I'm completely blanking. Let me think of another.
Give him some time.
Because like a couple players that I would have gave you a couple more bad answers. Like I would have gave you a couple Gonzaga kids. Like I had a couple Gonzaga ones sitting on the cheek.
15 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I rush me. I don't mind. No Nova. Can't say that. Dude, I don't know. Can I go? And no Duke left. No, I don't know.
That's the part that really kind of shocked me. Like there weren't any more of those guys.
There's a couple guys in both those schools that are like right off this list.
Okay. I mean, you can give me
nothing.
I have nothing right now.
All right, so
absolutely like bludgeoned.
All right, I'll take the Kansas attempt here. Mario Chalmers?
Nope.
Can you slow down so I can think more? Because I'm going to run out of time.
Which is the plan?
It's fair. Cincinnati.
So let's see.
I'll take hints. I'm not against hints.
The guy from Houston was ended up being a pretty good NBA player.
The guy from Houston?
Yep. The guy from Kansas is
pretty good NBA player. Got nothing.
An all-time type name. Like you guys both know who he is.
The guy from where?
Kansas.
Okay.
The biggest name left on this list is the guy that goes to Cincinnati. Just neither one of you probably know that he went there. I didn't know.
Oh, I know it. I know it. I'm so glad that you said that,
bro. The jersey.
Yes. I have.
I know who it is too.
I have that.
The Princeton guy. I don't think either one of you are getting because I know the name, but I never would have guessed it. And then number 9, the guy that went to Arkansas, he was a college stud. Kind of didn't work out great in the NBA, but was like a really, really good college player.
I think the Cincinnati guy's like a legend. I can see the jersey, like when you like buy them at like Wildwood when you shoot. Like I can see the Cincinnati jersey, and I'm just trying to think who went to Cincinnati. Like I'm kind of lost, but I feel like I see the jersey. Like I feel like I know the number. Like it's 30 or 11. It's like something of that nature. I
literally forgot he went there until Bill said that.
God damn it. I feel like if I don't get this, I'm stuck. You said the Kansas guy, we would definitely know, right?
Yes, the Kansas guy you guys both know. 15 seconds.
Give me
5 seconds.
Andrew Wiggins.
Incorrect.
I will take the Cincinnati guy because he played in Cincinnati in college, and he also played there in the NBA for a little bit. Give me Oscar Robertson.
That
is correct. The craziest thing is Gene got the number 2. He was number 12. That's wild.
I remember the jersey, bro. You know, you go to Wildwood and you shoot for the jerseys, like the old school players. I remember seeing that Cincinnati basketball jersey.
The part that like throws me off is that I never I knew that he went there, but like I always remember like seeing jerseys of him, like in Ohio. He's in a Royals jersey because that was like the pro team. So like that's why I was like so thrown off.
Bro, I'm not kidding with you. Control, if you get another one, you win.
Oh, I don't have another one. That's the problem. Like that's why I needed you not to get an Oscar.
We have 4 left. We have 4 left.
I have no other ones.
Bill, can you give us the years that these guys played?
Gladly. Number 2 with 358 points, played from 66 to 68.
Jesus.
The Kansas guy, which is number 3, played from 85 to 88.
That's gonna be the race right there.
The Princeton guy was 63 to 65.
What?
And the Arkansas guy was 93 to 95.
No, none. Good.
Bro, I'm just gonna start naming.
I have none
because I don't know.
Name 100 of them. I won't get any.
I don't know who went to Kansas.
What was the other one? I'm sorry. What was the last one? Because I kind of blanked out when you said 63 to 65.
Arkansas, 93 to 95.
93 95? Arkansas.
Kansas. Who came out of
big country?
If you played the NBA Jam College Edition, he's one of the best players in the game.
Oh my God. Is it Corliss?
Corliss Williamson is number 9.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if I would have got his last name, so thank you for saying that.
3 to go.
All right, I got nothing else. Gene's got it. I got nothing. 85.
I just remember Corliss Williamson was big boy, just absolute rumble tumble, like just rebound machine.
There's 1. Number 2 is Elvin Hayes from Houston.
Would have never got that.
I would never got that.
Number 3, you guys probably should have got. That's Danny Manning from Kansas.
I would have never got that.
I have no idea.
The Princeton one you wouldn't have got. That's Bill Bradley. And then that's it.
I mean, that's a really tough trivia question this week. Thank you. Let's see if how the chat do. Paul Pierce, that's a good one. Big Nasty, Corliss Williamson. Danny Manning, 85 to 88. These guys are in the chat. I don't know if you looked any of them up, but if you didn't, look at my man, Big E, Ferry, Manning. I would bet be inside. Yo, Mo, you need to be in here for me. I didn't have the Big Nasty, Corliss Williamson.
You guys should have had phone a friend.
Bro, I wish. I would call Mo for any Mo and Brett.
Yep.
Bro, they're the best at basketball knowledge ever.
I was just ripping them off.
I'm sick I didn't get Hansborough in time because Timmy was definitely in the back pocket there. And I thought of Hansborough too. I just thought I'd have more opportunities.
Bro, if he didn't read the schools off, I would have kept yelling like Adam Morrison. I'm not kidding with you, bro. I would have the kid from I would have got the kid from BYU thinking he would be on the damn list.
Yeah.
See, here's a crazy thing. Like you go to like 11 to 20. Like 11 is Juan Dixon. 12 is Austin Carr. You guys probably wouldn't have got him. But then like 13 is Calvert Chaney. 14 Shane Battier. 15 is Jerry West. 16 is Danny Ferry from Duke. 17 is Grant Hill. 18 is Nick Collison, which I think one of you guys said. 19 is Jerry Lucas from Ohio State. And tied for 20th is Miles Simon from Arizona and Reggie Williams from Georgetown. So 10 through 20 actually had more probably recognizable names.
Juan Dixon, he went to Pitt?
Maryland. He was a terror there, dude. He was unreal in college.
I want to look up that jersey because I know I remember that jersey. Legends.
It's just funny because the picture of him on the list I had, he's literally in the Cincinnati jersey, and he's number 12, which was hysterical when you said it.
I said 11. I didn't say 12. I said 11 or 30.
I thought you said 12.
Yeah. But I could just vision the jersey. Like that's I don't, obviously I don't know. Juan Dixon and Stoudemire would have been good guesses. Yeah, I agree. All right. Catcher's list. We're receiving right now, boys.
Pop of the glove, baby.
Oh.
All right. So again, 6 through 10 list.
You know, it's funny. I thought you put the top 5 list up. I'm like, this is not my top 5 list. That makes perfect sense now. Cottrell is JT6. I want to know if Shally has him in his top 5 or not on his list because I do not have JT on my list. I'll find that out shortly.
Gene, I see you put an emphasis on, I mean, I kind of did too, but you like the defensive guys.
Yeah, 100%. Because catching is the one position in baseball where you can be a bad hitter, but if you're a good defensive catcher, you're so valuable. And I'll tell you why. We had so many years of Chooch, right? We had so many years of Carlos Ruiz being behind the dish and being just an absolute general to our pitchers. That's why.
I get it. I get it for sure. I mean, only reason why I said that is because I saw the Patrick Bailey love, which I get because I mean, best defensive catcher in baseball. But having him up at 7, I see what you value.
Alvarez. I still have Frank Francisco Alvarez, who sucks as a defensive catcher at my 8. I just think he has the potential to hit 30 home runs.
Yeah, which no, I get it.
A little bit of both. Austin Wells isn't the best defensive catcher either, but
no, he's kind of in the middle of the pack. I think I have him there because again, I think his numbers will probably be a little bit inflated hitting in that lineup.
By the way, I didn't put Salvador on the list because he plays too much at first base. He plays like almost half of his games at catcher. He's definitely like statistically should be on the list, but like he plays half his games at first base and DH. So like I didn't,
What I read is that they're probably projecting him to play 80 plus games at DH this year. Like he's probably not even going to play first. Like it's going to be a lot of DH this year, which
this will be the last year he's probably on the list. I think he played like 103 last year.
Yeah.
And they were catching, and they're talking about scaling it back even more.
Yep.
But his bat's so good, and they got to figure it out. So
you're absolutely correct.
Catching, he's pretty much a road cone back there.
I'm interested to see a couple things in the top 5. Unveil, Cottrell.
All righty.
JT 5. I don't have JT in my top 10, so I guess I'm the one that's crazy. I guess can't hit fastball anymore. What?
I mean, I'll let Bill address that when he gets to him. I'll start out here. Yanni Diaz from Houston Astros. I think the biggest thing with him right now is his bat. I mean, I think now especially Bregman out of the lineup. Houston's got to find a way to, manufacture some more runs, more hits, things like that. So, I mean, I do think, it is his time to step up, be a consistent hitter. He was right around the 300 mark last year. And I think, with those kind of numbers, being a catcher, what I like to see for me, I think if you're hitting like that, you have to be in the top 5 at the position. Gene, you talk about, defense being important with the catcher position. For me, I feel like it's either one side or the other. I kind of lean the more offensive side here, so that's why I got Diaz in my top 5.
I have JT number 5. I think he's got one good year left in him. I think him coming off last year, where I think he got rushed back coming off meniscus surgery.
Yeah.
It did him no favors whatsoever because they needed him for the stretch run. He's apparently completely healthy, lost a little bit of weight. I think there is a plan to DH him more and even get him a little bit of time at first base this year to make sure his knees stay fresh. Gene mentioned the old fastball thing. There's a little bit something to that. But again, I think 34 going into a contract year, he's still elite defensively. I have a number 5. Again, his projection, I think if there's anybody on this list that's going to burn me, it's going to be him. But I think he has one good year left in him. I think we see it this year. So I have a number 5.
Yeah, Savion Diaz, number 5. He's 26 years old, walking into the prime of his career. He batted 299 last year. He absolutely has to be near the top of your list, whether it's 5, 6, 7. I think the top 4 are the top 4. Just my opinion. I think that we all have them in just different orders. But Yanier is the guy I have at 5. Bats 299, walking into the prime of his career. My number 4 is Cal Riley. Anytime you have a catcher that can hit 30 home runs, he's going to be on my list. Cal Riley hit 30 home runs last year, and he's got power behind his bat. Good catcher, not a bad defensive catcher. I mean, he's not great, but not a bad defensive catcher. But he's going to pop 30 home runs, and he's not going to kill you defensively. So I have number 4.
Who won the AL Gold Glove for catchers last year?
He might have. I know he led the AL in defensive runs saved.
Yeah, Cal Riley won Platinum Gold Glove, so maybe I'll shut up about his defense. I don't know. Maybe I need to watch more Seattle Mariners baseball. I apologize.
Well, I was the guy that came on here last year and said that I thought the Mariners were going to win the World Series. So I watched way more Mariners baseball last year than
first time
probably
Platinum Gold Glove winner. What an idiot that was. That's a great. You should clip that statement. That was stupid as hell. Platinum Gold Glove winner. Yeah, he won't kill you defensively.
Number 4, I have Will Smith from the Dodgers. A guy that, to Gene's point, is average defensively. Won't kill you, not going to help you. He's simply on here because of offense. And that is why, for me, I think there's a gap between the top 3 and Will Smith for me. Not huge, but there's a gap between the top 3 and Will for me. The kid hits, though. He's going to hit. He's going to continue to hit. He has the privilege of hitting in the middle of that lineup, which is just ridiculous. He can hit 240, he'll hit 25 home runs and have 100 RBIs just because every time he comes up, there's somebody on base. So Will Smith, very, very productive offensively. Has improved a little bit defensively. He's still just not good, but his frame rate and everything has gone up a little bit. He's a WAR guy that's right around 3. If he was very good defensively, he'd probably around 6, but still a quality catcher. And again, the Dodgers aren't looking for that out of that position because they score so much they don't care. So I got Will Smith number 4.
Number 4 for me, I also have Will Smith. I think the main reason why I have him here is again similar to our pitchers list. I think the 3 guys that are ahead of him are just flat out better. And if I drop them in a bucket into that Dodgers lineup, I think they're better defensively. And I also would take their bat over them. It's no slight for him to be here for, like Bill mentioned. I mean, he's going to be a guy that hits 20 home runs and probably drives in like 80 plus RBIs. And a lot of it is, being a benefactor of that Dodgers lineup there. So not a knock, but just something that I definitely take into consideration there. And I think the top three guys there are better than him. And again, if they were in that situation, I think the numbers would look better there. But Will is still top 5 at the position. He's been on our list, as long as we've been doing them here. So definitely respect his game there. But number 3 for me, I got Cal Riley of the Mariners. Again, this guy who has the potential to finish at number 1. 30-plus home runs last year. Obviously, we just talked about the Platinum Gold Glove there. He just needs to get some more shine there and some more love in Seattle. I'm waiting on them. I want to be the one that was first to the party with the Mariners. I'm waiting on them to take the jump, take the AL by storm, and make it happen. And I think a big part of that is going to be because of Kyle Riley. Again, because what he can do on both sides there. I think Kyle Riley has the potential to be number 1 on this list. Like, I think he's that talented, especially, given where he's at talent-wise. But for this year for me, I got him just coming in number 3.
So for me, I got Adley Rutschman, a guy that's been, 1 or 2 for me since he came into the league. Kind of had a down year last year, and I think he needs to get a little centered in. I think with the 2 guys above him, their trajectory is a little bit more steep in the old positive way than Adley is right now. I think he's still the leader, unquestioned leader of that Baltimore team. But like I said, that being said, 3rd year, he's regressed a little bit. So I couldn't put him ahead of the 2 guys that are coming off monster years that I think are both going to have monster years again. Guys that really took big jumps last year. Not Contreras offensively, obviously, but has gotten better defensively than Cal Riley, we already talked about. I'll talk about again in a second. Took probably the biggest jump out of any catcher last year. So I have him number 3. Again, I still think he's one of the 3 elite catchers in the league. Like I said earlier, I think there's a gap between Adley and Will Smith. And I think the gap to Adley to William Contreras is a lot smaller. But that being said, I had to drop him a spot this year. So I have him number 3.
I guess I got to cheat, right? Like, Will Smith is the cheat answer. I agree with Cottrell's statement. If you pull some of these catchers off and put them in the exact scenario that Will Smith is in, they would have better numbers. They're probably better catchers. It's not what this list is. It's a projections list of how they do this year. And him being in the middle of the Dodgers lineup, that's where I have him. Do I think he's better than Cal Riley? No. Do I think he's better than Yanier Diaz? Probably not. But in the situation that he's in, statistically, he's going to consistently hit 20 home runs, have close to 100 RBIs, and be in the middle of that Dodgers lineup. That's what puts him there. It's a good catcher, not a great catcher, but, not terrible. Good catcher. So that's where I have him number 3. My number 2, this guy. One thing I learned about William Contreras, he is an absolute winner. His work ethic is incredible. What they did last year in Milwaukee, everybody in that clubhouse talked about the leadership of William Contreras. Yeah, it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. I understand that. He also had a monster year at the plate. He's a pure hitter. He's one of the best pure hitters. He reminds me, and this is a really terrible comparison as far as their names or what they look like, but he hits the ball a lot like Joe Mauer does. And I don't know how, he's a pure hitter. And he regressed slightly defensively based on his stats. He still is improving defensively. There's still flashes of good defense from him. William Contreras is my number 2, but he could be number 1. And I battled between 1 and 2 here.
Number 2, I'm going with Cal Riley. Like I said, he's one of, if not, he is 1A best defensive catcher in the league. One of the highest frame rates, least amount of pass balls. Only catcher in Major League Baseball last year to have 100 RBIs, 34 home runs, and not a very friendly park. I don't think we've seen his best year yet. That's why he's number 2 for me. I think he's going to continue to be elite defensively, which keeps him above, like I said, some other people on this list. And like I said, 100 RBIs as a catcher, only person on here to do it. And he's become the anchor of that Seattle lineup with some guys that are obviously bigger names than him, but he's getting it done on obviously both sides of the ball. So I struggled here. I did. I almost put him number 1 and really gave Cottrell his roses. But for me, the consistency of, number 1, just eked out a little bit. But this was the hardest place in between 1 and 2 for me. But Cal Raleigh, again, just an absolute, probably the best guy defensively I've seen since JT in his prime. He's that good. People are not running on him anymore, and the way he places himself and controls his body when he receives a pitch is incredible. He's the best to do it since JT. When JT was, late 20s, early 30s. He's that good. So Cal Raleigh, number 2 for me.
Number 2 for me, I got William Contreras. Biggest reason being is I think that right now he's getting into the prime of his career. Coming off the All-Star appearance from last year, numbers-wise at the plate, he was at 280, hit 23 home runs. And, I think Contreras has all the tools to be the best catcher in baseball. But the reason why he has to be a number 2 for me is I think Adley's going to come into the season this year with a chip on his shoulder. Bill, you talk about him taking a step back from his first year in the league and, him, regressing there. I definitely saw that as well. And I think, just kind of looking into this a little bit more, a lot of the media from the Baltimore area and national media were talking about how he wasn't taking the game serious in the sense of he wasn't in shape last year. They said he started to get a little pudgy at the end of the year there, wasn't catching as good behind the plate, numbers started to drop a bit. And I think when you're a young kid, you have to hear that kind of stuff. And especially with Baltimore, like with this core being as good as they are, like their window is so wide open. Obviously, we know Gunnar is going to be, an MVP caliber candidate player. But you need Adley to take that next step. And I do think that he heard all that. He got himself together. And this year, he will burst onto the scene and make sure that he stakes his claim as the best catcher in baseball. So we know the talent is there. We just need the effort to come along with it. I think as a young kid, you have to kind of give him a little bit of rope there, a little bit of reprieve. And so for me, I'm giving that to him. I think he bounced back this year, and I think he shows he's the best catcher in baseball.
Number 1, I'm going with Contreras from Milwaukee. A guy that, I think, was kind of, and deservedly so, kind of looked at as, a guy kind of like in the same category as Will Smith. Really good hitter, ton of potential, didn't take defensive catching seriously at all. Knew he was going to be in the lineup because he could hit. And then he got traded to Milwaukee. And if you look at his numbers from 2 years ago to last year, there was a decent amount of improvement. And again, this year, you guys talked about his leadership before, in the clubhouse, and a lot of people, not that he's skill-wise this way defensively, but a lot of people are saying that they look at him like, like a young, Yadi Molina, like he is that. He's taking on the accountability role and leadership role in that Milwaukee clubhouse. He's never going to be him defensively. He's a stud offensively. Again, another 90-plus RBI, almost 30 home runs, hit over 280. The offense is always going to be there. Like Gene said, he's a natural hitter. He's one of those guys that if you let him stand out there for 4 hours, he would take batting practice for 4 hours. The guy just loves to hit. But again, he is taking on, the responsibility that he wants to be a major league catcher and wants to be a captain and wants to be a leader. He's got to work at it, and he has. And he's gotten a lot better. And, for him to be in the middle of the pack where compared, we were talking about, he was in the bottom third of all of our lists when we first started doing these the first year because he was that bad defensively. So, he's come a long way. I don't think he's ever going to be, a Cal Raleigh. I don't think he's going to be Adley. I don't think he's going to be JT in his prime. But if he's in the top third with his hitting, it makes him a really, really, really good catcher. So I think being settled in and already being a leader and kind of controlling that clubhouse already, I think he takes another step up this year. And that was a deciding thing for me between him and Cal. I think his offensive numbers go up this year. His defense gets a little bit better again. He's number 1 for me this year.
I want to ask you a question, and I have Adley 1, and I think he takes a step. I think he takes a step forward this year. His coaching staff and the people around him said everything that Cottrell said without saying it. It was Adley's first offensive adversity. He's taken the steps this season to be ready for 2025. They've all but alluded that he was not taking the game as serious as he should. I think he's the most talented catcher in baseball. The question I have, and that's why it's number one, and I don't want to go too far with that. I have Adley number one because I think he's the most talented player. You said something a minute ago with Cal Riley, and obviously I can't speak on Cal Riley because a minute ago I didn't know he was a platinum Gold Glove winner in the American League. That's my fault. But you said he's the best defensive catcher in baseball, and I had Patrick Bailey as the best defensive catcher in baseball statistically, and I just wanted to hear your comparison between the two, Bill. I know you've watched more Cal Riley than I have, obviously. So, like, Patrick Bailey, I've seen a lot more of him playing in San Fran. So, like, I've watched how good he is. And I remember when the Phillies played San Fran to talk about Patrick Bailey being, like, the better version of what JT was.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you, elaborate on that, like, between the two of them?
I mean, listen, you're talking about the two elite guys in the game right now, frame-wise. And just starting there, if you watch how I don't think people realize how hard it is and how much of an art it is to frame a pitch. Like if you look at JT, like if you go watch anything from JT from like 2022 back to like 2018, he literally would steal pitches because his body was so calm and didn't move when he caught the ball. Bailey and Cal are exactly the same. They will set up on a spot and receive the pitch, and it could be 3 inches outside, but everything is so last second, but it's smooth. It's not abrupt. They don't move their shoulders. Their whole body doesn't move. They're calm when they receive the ball. To an umpire, it looks like the pitcher hit his spot.
Yeah.
And it does. And over the course of a game, and obviously over the course of a year, you steal a lot of outs for your pitchers, a lot for strikeouts or guys that then come up and expand the plate and swing at pitches they shouldn't. You watch either one of those guys. They are truly elite in what they do. They both block the ball very well, and they both throw the ball very well. like we talked about earlier, catcher's kind of the one position. If you suck on offense, but you're elite defensively, you'll play in the major league. You'll play in the majors for 15 years if you're that good at it. They both call really good games, and they are kind of the standard right now. And again, you're talking about guys that have won the Gold Gloves respectively in the NL and the AL last year. If you're a catcher, or if you want to show somebody how to catch, you go watch some of those guys right now. They are the top of the league and top of the crop of what they do. But
I just wanted to just kind of help you. You're kind of coughing there, but I just wanted to get I love your breakdowns of baseball players, and I would love to get CJ on a couple of these segments. Like I really could you can absolutely be a guest on the show for some of these baseball segments if you want to send us in your list. I really respect his baseball acumen. Black Elmore, I know he gives a ton of great emphasis on baseball lists. So really would love to have some of these guys hop on here and give their list. Look, I will tell you, I love baseball and I watch it, and I'm probably more educated than the average listener when it comes to baseball. I'm not even on the same planet as the way Shally is, the way Elmore is, the way CJ Brancato is. So, like, I would love to keep having experts on here because I want to get better with baseball. I used to be an absolute almanac in the early 2000s and late 90s when baseball was my love. Now, football, I've gotten so much. Like, I obsess over tape, right? So I just kind of want to get more people on here like that. And that's why I want to ask you a question. Because true baseball enthusiasts and purists and people that listen to the show, I love when you can break down two young catchers that most people won't even know who they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's a shame they both play on the West Coast and they both play in smaller markets per se. Because if you're not staying up late most of the time, you're not watching them, and you'll see Cal Riley obviously on SportsCenter hitting a home run and stuff like that. But again, it's catching is an art form, and that's and I would describe it that way. The great ones make a lot of really, really hard things look really easy, and they both do a great job at it. If you're a catching prospect or just a fan of the position, you could turn on a Seattle game and not even care what Cal Riley does, hitting, and really just watch him catch pitch after pitch. Same thing, in San Francisco. So I would love CJ to come on. I mean, I would honestly tell you I've talked more baseball with CJ than probably pretty much anybody else in my life. Has a very unique view of the game. Good blend of old and new. I mean, he's a college coach, for Christ's sake. He knows what he's doing. So, I would love to have CJ on and Alex as well. So
good stuff. We're gonna do the bracket. Probably gonna leave college basketball to next week. Just
and
based on time.
March. It's gonna be March next week, man.
it is.
But let's go into our bracket that we started last week. We'll do the right side of it. Before we get into You Gotta Be Kidding Me. And yeah. So I'll start with the top right. I don't know if it's too fresh. Something of Luka to LA just feels like it shouldn't be a 15 seed. Like, it just felt like it was that crazy to me. Like, it woke me up out of a dead sleep. I was watching UFC fights. I just got home. I was laying in bed. It was 12:30, 12:15, and I got a message that Luka was traded to the Lakers. Having a 25-year-old traded in his prime is wild. Having a guy that's that generational, like, traded in the middle of his prime, just didn't make sense to me. With that being said, the Tiger Woods scandal shocked the world. I can't vote Luka to LA over Tiger Woods. I just feel like he was unfairly placed.
He shouldn't be a 15. He shouldn't be a 15 seed.
Correct.
Luka to LA could honestly easily be a top 5 seed. Like, if you replace Luka in the Lance Armstrong steroids, like, Luka might make it into the Final Four. Like, that's how crazy it is.
Yeah. I wanted to make that clear because I'm voting for Tiger because that scandal was nuts. And we'll get into that, obviously, as Tiger moves on because he's going to go against another heavy hitter in a second. But
it's a group of death.
Oh, God. The right side.
Literally.
It really is.
Quite literally.
Oh, my God. I just looked at the Hernandez murders and COVID shutdown. Literally.
Jesus. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to get into this because I will obviously go on a Tiger rant when he gets in the next round. When this is actually next matchup is brutal, dude. I don't know. It's Luka was just crazy because again, I think when you guys posted, I was like, that can't be. I'm like, that's bullshit. That can't be real. And then I turned it on. It was everywhere. I was like, they really traded Luka.
Bro, it's
traded him to the Lakers at that. Like,
yeah, like definitely, like, yeah, shouldn't be a 15 seed, probably 15 because they just had to put this together. Like, so, like, yeah, they had to add him last second. But it's Tiger for a million reasons I'll get into next round.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, Tiger is again, just like we talked last week with a lot of the stories on the left side, the unraveling of the Tiger story is really what made that even better.
Don't even say because I don't want to get into it. But yes.
But yeah, the Tiger Woods scandal for sure.
The more that came out, my jaw would just keep hitting the ground.
It was like 6 a.m. Then it was like 1 p.m. and you had a whole different aspect of it. And it's like, and then like 2 days later, you see like stuff in the like the tabloids and stuff. It nuts, absolutely nuts.
Bro, it was the car accident for me. But we'll get into it. Charlie, you want to start the next one off?
Yeah. So I mean, you got number 7 seed Penn State scandal. With the Joe Paterno, Jerry Sandusky, all the stuff that happened at Penn State there. And then number 10, Tim Donahue, and the NBA rigging basketball games as it came out. I think with this one, like the rigging of games was, I guess, kind of shocking. But then again, like if you look at certain games, it's like, all right, well, that makes sense. Like, you always have your, we talk about the tinfoil hat. We might not have thought that it was going to go to that extent, but with that said, I mean, the Penn State scandal, I think it's criminally seeded as a 7 seed. Like that scandal was absolute. Like the death sentence was on the table here for Penn State. Like that's how wild the scandal was. So for me, I think this is a 4-0 sweep. I got Penn State scandal by a million against the NBA rigging basketball games.
I'm not, bro. Penn State versus Tiger is the craziest thing in the world to me. But I agree with Cottrell. Like, it was like, okay, like, it was shocking because it was like confirmed, but like at the same time, like, I don't know, like, you know, I hate the tinfoil hat stuff, but again, we've talked about it on here. Like, you've watched games before, and you're like, the game really seemed rigged. Like, it seemed really like it'd be hard to convince me it wasn't.
Kings Lakers playoffs, dude.
Yes. Game 6 and Game 7. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. So again, it was definitely
when that scandal came out, Charlie. Immediately when that scandal came out, I looked at the list of games. I'm like,
who was reffing?
Yeah,
I'm like, Game 6. Who was there?
Yeah, it was. To get it confirmed, and a guy that was in the league forever, and a referee that a lot of people liked. To actually have it confirmed that it was going on was shocking. PSU, I'm gonna spare Gene the details for now, but PSU is on just a completely other level. It's on a different planet of shocking stuff. It's Penn State for me.
So the craziest part about the NBA rigged games is they still allow this guy to go on TV and podcasts and shows and just speak like his truth.
Former NBA ref. He always has the moniker. Former NBA ref.
By the way, is incredible
to
me. I love listening to it. I'm kind of glad that they do, but I just don't understand like how many guys' lives he cost in certain situations, or how many wins, or
he names Scott Foster as an accomplice, and the NBA still lets him ref to this day. Like, that's nuts to me. They're like, oh yeah, we looked into it and there was no credible information. He's telling you who helped him in certain games. Like, he is clearly telling you that this guy helped fix his games. And then you look at the records with, like, you know, the whole Chris Paul stuff with it. Like, and you look at those numbers, like it's as clear as day. Clear as day. So nuts. It is nuts.
Yeah, the Penn State scandal moves on here, and I'll get deeper into it the next round. But the one thing I want to say though is, I think I was one of the people in 2011. I think 2011 is when it came out, and that was 14 years ago, and I was 25. And it took me a full year to not be like a Joe Pa apologist. Because all those people at Happy Valley and all those people at Penn State that were like, he was just an old man, he didn't do it, and blah, blah, blah. And like, no, dude, like when more and more, like when I grew up and I started learning more and more about what was going on, it took me a good year, maybe less than that, maybe 6 months, to not be like an apologist for Joe Paterno. I can't imagine a world in which like a child or a student or like even an adult goes in and goes, hey, this is what was reported. Yeah. Send it up to the athletic director, and yeah, we'll figure it out later.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, you gotta be accurate here. He himself reported it like he was supposed to. I'm not being a Joe Paterno apologist. I'm telling you, all I'm saying is, and this factors into it, so I'm not getting into it, because if you grew up where me and Gene did, Joe Paterno is a different thing than it is to a lot of people everywhere else in the country. So, but for his job description and letter of the law, he did what he was supposed to do. Obviously, he wasn't one. I don't disagree with that part of it at all. But I mean, he wasn't the one raping the kids or anything. But
I get it.
Again, like we probably see this very similarly. So I'll just wait till next week.
I think the wildest part about that too, I know we'll add on more, but the wildest part is all this stuff comes out, and then Joe Paterno dies like not too long after this happened. Like literally,
it killed him. That's so part of me that's dissatisfied. It literally killed him.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next round, shall we?
Speaking of getting killed.
Jesus Christ.
Heartless Cottrell's back. Darren Hernandez versus.
What did he really do? He recovered from losing his leg. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Yeah. He played with a beef tenderloin of a lower left leg. Or the COVID shutdowns. Yeah.
This is easy. Come on, bro.
I'm going with Hernandez, but it's the COVID thing was more
like world, like not sports.
Yeah, it was that. It was just kind of more like, and at the beginning of it, like none of us really knew what the hell was going on or what it was, what it wasn't. I'm not getting into any of that now either. But to find out Aaron Hernandez is just out there meeting people at quarries and just murking people and then showing up to practice the next day like nothing happened. It's just some crazy shit. So I'm going with Aaron Hernandez.
The more things that came out about the murders, like, and there's unsolved murders in Florida. Like, dude, stop. This guy, like, that was such a huge story.
Well, it's because he had great leadership down in Florida from Urban Meyer,
bro. He had Urban. Look, it's Hernandez murders. We'll get into it a little bit longer, but it's the Hernandez murders, and we'll talk about it more in the next round because I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the Hernandez murders, but I will say the one thing that the COVID shutdown, like obviously that was more of a world thing, but when it happened with the NBA, like I don't want to say the NBA at that point was like the most important thing, but like it almost felt like the NBA was like bigger than COVID at a point. Like there was never a point where I thought like this professional basketball organization is going to shut down and stop playing games. Like they were literally in the midst of like starting a game. I remember it vividly. It was like a 7:00 tip-off game. The Thunder fans, like everyone's at the game. They're ready for tip-off. Players are in their jerseys. They're about to tip it off. And they're like, yeah, the game's been canceled. Everyone needs to leave and go home. Like
Rudy Gobert, bro.
Like, yeah. So like Rudy's touching all the microphones and stuff, like making a big joke out of it. And it was like this, it was this joke, but then literally a day later, you find out that he tests positive for COVID. The league gets shut down, and you know that's it for basketball. That's it for everything. Like nothing is on TV. No, there's no sports happening anymore. So it's definitely a wild time.
They were like the first ones to get their shit together, though.
I don't know.
Figure it out and get it back on, but yeah, I mean it's still
the bubble might have been one of the most.
Yeah, but dude,
but like because when it came back, it was nothing was on, and like every bubble game.
Correct. That's my whole point. Like they were the first ones, and then hockey figured it out and had like everybody in like
figuring out too.
Yeah, but they were the first ones back on, and like you were starving, bro. Like they wouldn't even let people race cars. And they were like, oh, somebody like the pits might get it. I'm like, the dude drives the car by himself. Like why can't NASCAR be on? Like there was nothing on.
So you know how bad sports were? We were waiting for the Michael Jordan documentaries to come out.
Yes. Like it could have come out fast enough. There was nothing, dude. And they got back, and like I said, then hockey got back, and then actually NASCAR came back shortly thereafter. But yeah, like there was because like that was still at the point where like people like were like dreading going to grocery shopping. People didn't want to leave their house, dude. I get it now, but back then it wasn't that way. The first like 6 months it was going on, like nobody wanted to leave their house, dude. And like there was nothing on TV. And then like it finally came back on. Like you said, there was like first bubble game was like 40 million viewers. And I was like, yeah, no shit.
I don't want to be an asshole, but I remember I knew people in my life that wiped down their grocery with Clorox wipes. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, like how is that real? Like, I'm sorry, I can't stop.
Eating
like,
bleach.
Yeah, they bleached their groceries.
Wow.
I'm like, are you guys stupid? It's like, I'm not. I can't do this anymore. This next one is a friggin' stupid matchup. It's a dumb matchup. And I'll tell you why. These two could be the 15 and 16 seeds in this tournament. Like, I think every single other thing in this tournament is a more shocking sports story. The Astros cheating was on the backs of the Red Sox cheating, and like it's in a whole MLB thing with like tipping pitches and the microphones. That's gonna win for me. That's gonna be my pick. I think it's more shocking than the decision. I think the decision was a very poorly timed, stupid move for LeBron. But like when you look back at it and realize he was trying to give back to the Boys and Girls Club, he was trying to do things to like earn money. Like, I understood where he was going from, but that decision would have been a lot better if he would have went back to Cleveland and did it. Leaving Cleveland and not letting Cleveland know and not letting the cat out of the bag, and then doing the decision in New York. And then you got New York where they're like, they think he's going to New York.
Yeah.
I think it was just poorly done by LeBron, but the intentions weren't terrible. And I don't think it was that shocking. I think the Astros cheating thing was shocking, but I don't know, man. There's been people to tip pitches. Like, the electronic thing was the biggest problem. The banging trash cans, I didn't have that big of an issue with. It was the electronic monitoring.
The buzzers? You didn't like the buzzers?
No.
For me, I'm also going with the Astros cheating because I didn't think the decision was that shocking. Again, I'm with you, Gene. I thought the decision was dumb. Like, I hated how he did it. You talk about the Boys and Girls Club. I just think he wanted to have his own day. Just kind of an added reason to do it, I guess. You know, you make it as much as possible out of it. But I thought the decision itself, like, I knew he was going to Miami 2 weeks before he announced it. Like, he just knew he was leaving Cleveland. They weren't giving him the help that he wanted to do. He knew he was leaving Cleveland. I always thought it would be in Miami because, I mean, D-Wade, Chris Bosh, I mean, you guys are in the same class and you're all free agents at the same time. Just seems to make a ton of sense. So it really wasn't that shocking to me that he decided to, leave the Cavs and go play for a different team. I guess the way of doing the decision, I guess, is shocking because it's never really been done. But I think it has to be the Astros cheating. But I'm with you. I think both of these things really weren't that shocking and really don't deserve to move on. But somebody has to. So I'm rolling with the Astros.
I'm going to go with the Astros as well. And I agree with everything you guys said about the decision. I think it was poorly done. Not the best look, kind of, read the room type thing. But again, the decision of him actually leaving, I don't think was shocking to anybody. Like Gene said, I think a lot of people thought he was going to New York. He never let Cleveland know anything, so you knew he wasn't going back there. And he ultimately ended up going to Miami. The Astros cheating thing was pretty shocking to me just because how in-depth it was. It went from tipping pitches to now we're electronic monitoring. You guys possibly, have people wearing buzzers. You got third-string catchers banging trash cans in the dugout. Like, it was so intricate. And then on top of that, it came on the heels of them, winning a World Series. Like I think we're underselling it a little bit because that rocked baseball for a while. But I do agree it's probably the weakest thing that goes forward, though.
All right, let's get into You Gotta Be Kidding Me.
All right, so this week for me, I'm going to college football. And the reason I'm going to college football is that there have been 5 programs that have already announced that they will not be holding spring games this March and April. And those 5 schools are Nebraska, Texas, USC, Missouri, and Florida State. There is one school on this list that I am okay with them not having a spring game, and that is Texas. Steve Sarkisian made it clear. The biggest thing is that this is a football team that's played 30 games over the last 2 seasons, rushing those guys back. This was even more of an extended year with the, added playoff. They played, another game, went deeper into the season. So for Texas, I can understand them not wanting to play a spring game. But for these other 4 schools, this is just business as normal for you. There's no reason to not play the spring game. For me, I think the biggest thing is that they don't want this to be like an audition for their players to get plucked. And that's not what spring ball is about. Spring ball is a great tradition across all of college football, not just at the Division I level, but it gives these guys an opportunity to, 1, know where they're at in terms of the depth chart, but 2, it gives them an opportunity to play in like a game-like atmosphere and knowing, where they need to improve and ultimately if they're going to really have a spot on a team. So I think Nebraska, USC, Missouri, Florida State, they're really just taking the easy way out here, worrying about the portal. They're worried about the wrong things there. And, that's why they don't have continued success within their programs these days because they're doing things the wrong way. So this week for me, the schools canceling the spring games really for no real good reason.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
I don't have one, but I think it's weird how much that whole thing is morphed just to last like 10 years in general. Like I know like some schools still have like a full on scrimmage. I know other schools do like kind of hybrid stuff and like different stuff, but
which is fine. If you don't want to go full game, full pads, like I'm good with that.
I mean we go full pads. We don't have like a full on like game. Like the ones will go against the ones and do like a couple series and then they do like goal line shit and stuff like that. Like everybody can show up and watch it. But I think it's just something else that's going to change in college football. Just because it's like you said, if you're coming off a season where your kid just played 17 games, I'm not running them out there to go play a full-on spring game and get somebody hurt. So it makes sense to me, but some I don't. But it's getting worse and worse.
I mean, I have two. I was hoping one of you guys would use one. One of them just came out earlier today, and I still need a little bit more information on it. But the one thing I will point out is the NFL grades came out for the facilities, the dietitians, and Woody Johnson got an F for the New York Jets. And last year he got poor grades, and he responded. And the only thing that they gave him good grades in was their highly recommended dietitian, the person that was making the foods, the dietitian. So Woody Johnson responded, "Oh, you like the dietitian? You want to give us bad grades?" To fire the dietitian. And the dietitian ended up going to Kansas City to be the Chiefs dietitian this year, and highly loved and sought after. Woody Johnson responded to last year's poor grades by making them more fearful. "Oh, you want to give bad grades? I can make things worse around here." It's a really stupid way to go about things. The Jets, the bottom 5 teams in the league. And look, at the end of the day, I don't want to. I gotta read more about it. But the bottom 5 teams in the league with the report cards were the Steelers, Jets, Browns, Patriots, and Cardinals. They increased from a D+ in 2024 to a C- in 2025. The average grades, the bottom 5 teams. The top teams are the Miami Dolphins and the Minnesota Vikings, 2 mainstays at the top. The Falcons, Raiders, and Chargers rounded out the top 5. All 3 teams made significant jumps this past year. It's worth viewing the whole report. But Woody Johnson for firing the dietitian, for making it worse for the Jets because they gave him bad grades. "Oh, you want to give me a bad score? Oh, watch what I do now." Good for the Jets, by the way, giving them a worse score again. So that's my first one.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
My second one, and I kind of wanted to get this out before the end of the show. I'm done. I'm so done with the 76ers, man. And it's gotten to the point where it's just borderline embarrassing. They're 20-37. They shut down Embiid for the year finally. Tyrese Maxey's out there trying his ass off on a team that is just doing nothing for him. They lost back-to-back games to Brooklyn on Sunday. They played the Celtics in between those 2 games, and in the Wells Fargo Center, "Let's go Celtics" was a huge chant inside the building. And tickets to last night's or 2 nights ago's Bulls 76ers games were $2. Good for the Philadelphia fans and the 76ers fans for not showing up to support this crap organization. They lost by 32 points to the Bulls the other night. Team they're trailing in the 12th seed or 10th seed. The 76ers are an absolute joke. And even I'll give the play-by-play all the credit in the world. They're making jokes with the 76ers team, as they should. They made a mention of I'm trying to remember his name, hitting a 3 to Lonnie Walker hits a 3 to pull the game within 37. 76ers are a joke. Their front office is a joke. You need to fire anyone, clear house, and rebuild. I'm completely finished. So for that, this week, the 76ers.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Gene has finally come to the dark side.
Bro, I love basketball so much.
Did you see that Paul George has decided to stop doing the podcast P to focus on competing and putting himself in a position to win a championship. Did you see that?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
He had to wait until they were 20-37 and finally decide that, all right, maybe I shouldn't be podcasting anymore. Maybe I need to get more serious about my craft. Like, if that's not an awful look, like, I don't know what is.
I mean, you got to practice for 3 hours a day. Like, I'm sure you could find room in your day to do your podcast stuff if you want to.
Which is fine, but don't put out that that's the reason when you're 20-37. When if you thought that might help, you could have done that 35 games ago.
None.
I'm finished.
Blow it up.
Give me Cooper Flag. Trade Embiid and George and try to get that number 1 pick.
Doesn't someone have your pick where you need to fall for somebody?
We just have to be in the lottery.
Oh, okay. Then you get to keep your pick.
Yeah. It's lottery protected. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I have one.
Got nothing.
Go ahead, Shell.
Well, mine's easy. I got to wish happy birthday to my little buddy, Jonathan David. Turns 4 today. He is our youngest fan. He has literally watched the show from the get-go since he was a baby. He sits up on the couch and watches it with Travis and Katie sometimes. So just wanted to give my little best friend a shout out and a happy birthday. I love you, and I will see you this weekend.
That's all we got for this week. I appreciate everybody in the chat today, between Tom and John and Brittany, and there's plenty other people. Ed, Derek Dempsey, there's always Eric Rosenblum, CJ Brancato, Justin Louder, Billy Brancato, everybody in the chat tonight. I appreciate what you bring to the table. I'm the NFL G and Sheen Walzak. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Control, Uncle Shally, Scholastic Shally, Mr. William Shawcross, and we are signing out.